Friday night showing my lack of plans for a Friday. Maybe I dip. Maybe I dip and do something. But until then, let's get some stuff done. I think I cataloged a set of bugs, so I'm just gonna dive into those and see what happens. It's going on a Friday. Not much more to it. Um, there were some things that really bugged me about the quick start, like when I was trying to go through the getting started tutorial. I got really frustrated, so I added a bunch of images and stuff like that so people would know what they were supposed to see at each step. But it was still really annoying that errors sometimes wouldn't show up in the right places. So one of the things I'm going to be doing is making those errors show up and a list of other things. So yeah, emit PCB error when any SMT pad or plated hole isn't matched to a port. This one probably the most annoying. I was really frustrated with that. And then I made a list of quick start issues. I think most of the really weird stuff I did this morning. No build step, not installable in Bun, fix that. Installing specific versions. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I'll have to test this one. But this is pretty annoying. You initialize a package and it has like a dot as its name, so that's a pretty easy one. I wish I could kind of queue these issues up on the right and then just tackle them one at a time. The other thing is I really want to go through the PCB viewer and just add a ton of like usability features. So that might be a fun one to do before I do anything else, because there's this big thing I realized I needed to flip the plane, the Cartesian to proper Cartesian coordinates where y goes up. So I did that flip, but it's on kind of like a V2 branch because I don't want to break things too much. So yeah, because all the everything is going to get messed up once I flip the coordinates. But with that, yeah, I guess we could start over here. I think layer viewing errors. It doesn't have view errors here. View errors is like the most important thing. So view any PCB error or PCB trace error. That's going to be like the biggest thing. Show unconnected pads. Show pads not matched with port. I think all those are pretty good. It's a lot of times there are pads that are not connected. So maybe this one is less important. We'll strike through this one. Not quite the same level of importance. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. All right. Let's jump in. PM run storybook. I got to adjust some windows here in a sec. It's kind of I upgraded this camera, but it made me realize that I need a lot more light in this room. I think it like makes me look really dark. So we'll see. Maybe something to adjust. Yeah, so I added a couple small things. I already did the coordinate flip. That was pretty fun. A lot of dimension changes, stuff like that. The thing what else? Oh yeah, if you press D, so this is the first thing to fix. So D will open up the dimensioning tool, but Storybook is overriding the hotkey. So I think I'm going to configure Storybook to not have the Storybook add-ons thing. I don't use it anyway. And then that'll be easier to play with. I don't know how to get it to work with that going on unless you open it in a separate window. And then we can pull out this dimensioning tool, which is pretty sweet. So you can quickly see the distance between things. Not perfect because it doesn't have the unit in there, but pretty good. Pretty good. If you drag, it undoes the thing, which I think is probably for the best. I think people would be more annoyed if they didn't know how to get rid of the dimensions when once they set them down. So it's probably okay. Yeah, and let me quickly adjust this thing over here. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what that did for my lighting. Might be bad. We'll see. I think it works out. Okay. So this guy, layer top, I don't know what I want to do for this. The appearance I'm okay with. You can see it fades out if you're not scrolled on top of this. So it's good in small views where you really want the PCB to be fully showing. So pretty happy with that element. I don't really know what to do when you click it. It could just cycle between the two layers, which is what most people are going to want to do. You know, like top dominant, bottom dominant, basically deciding what layer is going to be not faded, and then all the other layers are going to be faded. So a couple ways to do that. I think it makes the most sense to do a little drop down. So maybe we do a drop down. Showing these errors is a really big deal too. I might want to get some sample errors from somewhere to make that as easy as possible to view. But I guess I'll do this clicky thing first, since it's an easy getting started task. I think the error is slightly harder. All right, let's get to it. So toolbar overlay, I already have it open. Let's make sure it's only that tab. We can add an on click, and we can say layer menu extended. So easy peasy. Layer menu open, set layer menu open. I also like to, for booleans, I like to do is. Okay, so layer menu open is layer menu open. We'll have this be the currently selected layer. To do that properly, we need to add some context. I want to be really careful about how I add context, because I think there's a bug on the registry right now where sometimes elements get coupled. They share the same variables, because I think like Zustan's default context is global. So try to avoid that anti-pattern when we implement context. Otherwise, yeah, you click on this, opens the menu. Trying to think if the menu takes over this element. So if the inside of this element will just become the I think that makes sense. The inside of this element just becomes the selection menu. This content will probably stay as the first row, but then we'll introduce a bunch of other rows, and maybe it gets a little bit bigger. I'm imagining there could be multiple buttons here, or possibly just space between these items. Not 100% sure. That'll be a little bit of a refactor if I'm tucking a lot of buttons away and I have to figure out how that works. But for now, let's just do it. Layer top. Okay, unclick. Set his mouse over. True. Yeah, let's say true. The other thing that's a little bit annoying, but whenever this menu is open, we're probably going to want to listen to like escape, or is mouse not over for the entire. I guess this is a little confusing. Is mouse over, because this is really is mouse over container. This is what controls that fading. We'll change this to set is mouse over container. And then if they leave the container, we're also going to want to shut the layer menu. Okay. Okay. It should be set layer menu open true. This is kind of the header of the layer menu. And then this is the hidden content. Layer menu is layer menu open, and we'll do another div. Wondering what the best way to do this is. I think for now, I'm just gonna paste this twice. Let's pick a nice blue color. We'll do 00 RGB. So we'll do CD at the end there. So this will be blue, and then we'll put bottom. So these should show up if we click it. Okay. So it's a little weird, but that's how I'm imagining the layer selection. And that blue is unreadable. It's a little bit hard because I'm just kind of guessing at the numbers here. We'll have to tweak all these colors later. That's still unreadable. I don't really have Tailwind, but let's pick up a Tailwind color. Lots of nice blues. It's nice that you don't have to worry about licensing with most open source libraries. I think there's another universe where you do have to worry about it. I think if you mouse out of this layer menu box, then we should also shut the layer menu. So we'll say unmouse out if is layer menu open, we'll shut it. Okay. Whoa. It's a little bit finicky. I think it's because it's capturing any of the children. Yeah, it should be on mouse leave. So on mouse out means the mouse leaves any child element. It's kind of a, I don't know, maybe it's useful. Maybe it's useful if you're trying to like have the parent control like drag and drop for all the children. What I'm imagining here is almost like this is a list. And you have a dot before each of these. And, or you have a dot before the currently selected one. I don't know how this will look. I hate to be super hacky about this kind of stuff, but the creative juice just isn't flowing to get a really good design going. So I'm also wondering if we really need to repeat the word layer. I think it seems a little weird. Top, bottom. I like the alignment of it. Let's do it. I don't have any framework for styling in here. So it says I have styled JSX installed. Styled JSX, but there's no usage of it. So maybe some child module uses it. It would be nice to get a styling solution at some point, but there's not too much styling across the PCB viewer, so I'm not super worried about it right now. Set margin top 8 or something. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I guess breaking this into a component will probably save some time because I'm about to do a tiny bit of styling. So we'll say layer button name top color equals whatever that color was. I think it was CD000. Yeah, thank you, Copilot. It'd be fun to play with Llama. I'm definitely going to be using Meta AI instead of ChatGPT today if I do have to do any queries. I have been testing it a lot the past, I don't know, day. I've probably run like 10 queries, and I've been a little bit disappointed. I think relative to GPT-4 in the quality. The speed is amazing though, so yeah. Right, so we'll put name here, put color here. Just refactoring to make this a little bit easier to style. Okay. Click, all the same stuff. The reason I wanted to break this out was I think I need like a little bit of margin there or something. It looks a little crushed. It's like, it's kind of cleaning up crap in some sense right now. It doesn't look very good, but I think I'm gonna remove this layer word. And I'm gonna try to insert, let's do this Unicode symbol. It's the mid dot. I forget how to put HTML codes directly into React, but it would be ampersand mid dot. Let's see how that looks. I'll zoom in a bit too. It's a little small, so bigger mid dot. I can set the font size, but I'm pretty sure there's a bigger mid dot. All right, let's go to Meta. What are there we go. What are mid dot alternatives? This is like the one part of the screen that's not visible. Bullet point. I don't know, is that the same? HTML code mid dot alternatives. It is frustrating when OpenAI gets the wrong idea and it takes forever to output still, and or you have to correct it and stuff like that. So I guess there's an advantage. Okay, so bullet point might actually be what I want. So let's grab that. See if that's bigger. I don't know if I'll be able to tell side by side. It does look bigger than mid dot. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so what I'm thinking is the currently selected one is going to have this dot next to it and nobody else will. And that'll kind of tell you that's the selected one. So we'll say opacity of selected is 1, otherwise 0. Add selected as a property here. And then for now, until this is loaded into context, we'll just say selected layer equals top. And then we'll change a lot of this stuff to reflect the selected layer. We're going to have to change this to, we're going to have to introduce a map to color this properly in a minute, but selected, and then that one will leave. Okay, so that's how it is now. Let's do a little bit of a hover. I'm going to be super lazy and say, oh, actually, yeah, maybe I do need a CSS library because it's getting a little annoying. I really don't like JavaScript hovers. It's a totally unnecessary use of a re-render. So I really like the SX prop. So lightweight library that gives you SX. SX props React. So an SX prop is the same as the style prop, but so theme UI might be the lightest. Let's see, there's a couple people saying, hey, we have a way to do this. Theme UI has a way to do it. If I had to call this thing, I would call it React SX. So annoying. I don't know how the transform works. This guy, I think, is saying, don't use SX. So what SX does is introduces the self-referential ampersand inside of the style property, which lets you basically have all the power of normal CSS. Without it, you can only do static styles, no decorators, or whatever you want to call like the colon hover stuff. Looks like it might be a material UI system thing. I just don't want to have to create the theme and all of that, but maybe there's no way around it. All right, let's just find a generic lightweight React styling solution without introducing lightweight React CSS styling solution. All right, let's go to Meta AI. I tried Meta AI for finding libraries the other day, and it seemed to recommend some pretty decent ones. Styled components, emotion. Okay, emotion I think is pretty good. What is Tachyon? Tachyon CSS. I don't know if this is for React. Show me the code. Okay, I don't know. I think it's a set of class names. If I could import Tailwind, I would be good too, but Tailwind's too heavy. Oh, is that what it is? I didn't know. Now I know. Tachyon is inferior Tailwind. CSS modules. Oh, it's lighter than Tailwind. Okay. I want something simple. This is okay. CSS module. Let me see if how this project is configured. For normally, this is like a lightweight, or not lightweight, but this is like a pretty simple library. So I'm trying not to introduce something too heavy. I would introduce Tailwind, but my laser hot take is that Tailwind is not for libraries, it's for applications. So that might be wrong, but like it's one thing if you have a company library and the company's committed to using Tailwind, then it's okay to use in a library. But if you're building a library that other people are going to consume, I don't think it's a good choice. Tailwind. Maybe CSS modules work. I could try to use a CSS module. It kind of sucks though. I just want to put in, I don't want to like make separate files and do all that nonsense. This is also gross too. It doesn't seem very React Native. Yeah, I know Emotion is pretty good, so let's look up Emotion. I think I've integrated Emotion a couple times, but I do forget. Okay, CSS, blah, blah, blah. What? How does this work? Do you need a I think you need a transform to do that. I want something with 0 transforms. That's fine. That's totally fine. It's the simplest way, requires no setup. Yeah. That's literally exactly what I want, except for I don't care for CSS syntax. But that's great. All right, let's do it. What's Emotion React? Why do people use Emotion React? If this is so good. Looks like it just like overrides things. I have no idea how that would work. I like it, but I don't understand how it works. Maybe there's getting started. Maybe React has like a little bit of a plugin system that I'm not super familiar with. But I would think that they would add something to the compilation stage similar to Tailwind. You also have styled. I'm not going to use styled. I like the CSS. It's super, super lightweight. I don't know how that React one works. It's too sketchy. It's pretty cool though. I'm kind of tempted to try it. I'll try it. Fine. All right. Recoil. Do I have recoil in this project? Recoil is a really cool way to do global context. So definitely maybe we'll use that. Recoil might also work with Zustan, so we'll see. We'll see. We're gonna try Emotion React. All right, let's look at this usage again. You gotta love that one-page usage. I feel like it takes, you know, a long time to learn TS Circuit relative to, you know, you can just look at this page. There's 0 text on this page. There's no explanation. It's a code sample, and you immediately know how to use it. The only way this could work for TS Circuit is if auto layout was perfect. If auto layout was perfect, and I don't know, maybe. But sometimes when I'm talking to people, they don't know much about electronics, and so they're like, yeah, this is out of my league. I don't know what a resistor is and stuff like that. So there's definitely like education that has to happen, I guess. The big assumption is, can people skip breadboarding and go right into this still uses this is kind of garbage, actually. This still uses the same CSS. I'm just going to use Emotion CSS. Can web developers, having never done a circuit, without breadboarding, which is like where you generally learn how circuits work, can they just pick it up and start using it? That's the big question. Cool. So the way this is set up now, what I want to try to do, are you emulating breadboarding with TS Circuit? You can skip breadboarding you can order a fully assembled circuit right away, so you don't need to do the breadboarding stage. If you think about it, in a working day, you have like 8 hours, and for any circuit with more than like 50 wires, which is like any production circuit, you're going to spend that entire day breadboarding. And you can get an overnighted circuit a lot of times for $300, $400. Maybe not assembled, but 2-3 days assembled. I think I've gotten an assembled circuit board overnight for, I think I paid like $1,000 for it once. So like, what's the point of breadboarding? And so if you can just go online and start writing React and create a circuit and then order it, like, you can skip breadboarding in your like electronics learning journey. But I think you need some kind of simulation or something like that, static analysis, to make sure that you're doing the right thing, which is going to take a little bit. Okay, so you give it via the class name. I think I also need to get some kind of syntax highlighting here. I don't know. I don't know how they got that syntax highlighting. Let's ask Meta AI. Let's go Meta AI. How can I get syntax highlighting for CSS template strings in VS Code? Go, go, go. Searching. What is this? Inline HTML. All right. Sounds good to me. So the unspoken thing about Llama, I guess, I heard this, I read this, is that its context window is only 8K. Llama 70 billion context window size. Llama 3. Yeah, 8K is still pretty good. The original ones had 4K. I wonder if we know what the context window will be on the 400 billion. Probably still the same, right? 8K isn't a lot. It's going to give all these vector startups and tools a little bit more of a go, because with how quickly it's becoming cheap, I would think people might start just shoving more into the context window, but this is a little bit of a regression as far as context window sizes, so maybe it'll give some life. It'd be because who else is going to be able to train this for a larger context window? Probably nobody. So hopefully Meta trains one with a really big context window, and like if you have a 100K context window, you can shove a lot. Every time I tokenize my code bases, most of the code bases I work with are between 10 and 100,000. Unless it's really, really massive, but most of the well modularized things are about that size. You can fit every file in then. All right, so yeah, we're just gonna add a hover to this guy. And then we'll also give it pointer cursor. I think we only want to do this if it's not already selected. So I actually don't remember how to do this. So I also don't know the hotkeys for Meta AI yet. in CSS, how do I say if not this class? I don't think this is a thing in CSS. Oh, it is. All right, let's do it. So not selected. It's kind of cool. Cursor pointer. I lost my window here. Storybook. There we go. Okay, I think it's complaining about nothing. Nice. Yeah, let's add some padding and stuff. Make this a little bit easier. That's pretty hard to click. That's too much. It's about right. I think that's it. I think that's the one. Simple. Select a layer. Nothing to it. All right, let's add on click to this guy. Click. That's pretty good. I like that. Emotion nailed it. I didn't want anything complicated. All right. Unclick. So, yeah. This guy. Let's do, since we have the whole menu now, I think it'd be cool. Let me see if I have a list of all the layers. I do not have a list of the layers in this project. I think I can probably pull the layers from the builder, but I want to be pretty careful about importing the builder in this project. Let's see. Yeah, because I think I mostly only import the types. No, I do import a function here. So I guess if I already broke the rule, I'll continue to break it. So let's see if we can import all the layers. And maybe just make sure this guy is up to date. So the builder is like the main, it's the DOM for circuits. So the document object model for circuits. So you have to, it's kind of like your active thing that contains all the nodes. So it's very smart and knows everything. All layers, cool, looks good. Do this, boom, boom. Key up that layer. I just realized I never work in this orientation. I'm always over here. There we go. Feels better. Feels familiar. This project does have layer colors, but they're kind of hard to access. See if I can figure out where they are. Layer map. Okay, that's not it. Here's the list of layers. Oh, that's interesting. This is correct. I think there's an issue with the builder. It should be inner one. It shouldn't be inner dash one. It's like a subtle naming convention thing. That's kind of irritating. There's a little bit of a discrepancy there. Uh, also, I don't know if these will be super good colors. I think I imported these from somebody who had already done out every circuit board component and a decent default color for it. Actually, we don't even need to take the color specification here if we can import that thing. So let's see. Layer name to color. So we'll say color equals layer name to color. And then for now, since the builder has a little bit of a discrepancy, I'm going to do name.replace dash with nothing. That'll definitely backfire at some point. Oh, it's not going to auto import for me. lib/drawer. Oh, it's got it. What's the deal? Let's just do that. Okay. Okay, cool. So we're iterating it over, but it's doing top for each one. So what did I do? Name equals layer. And then this color here is no longer needed. And then we do need to handle the on click, but we don't have anything to do yet because we haven't set up our context to work. To do. Ooh. I thought I might be able to run Llama locally, but I guess you really do need like a 4090 or two to run it locally. I have 12 gigs of video RAM now as of like 1 day ago, but I don't think it's enough. Need a lot. All right, that looks okay. I'm not super upset about that. There's too many dots, so it's not correctly doing selected. Layer equals selected layer. So that should fix that. And then if your layer isn't the selected layer, or yeah, okay, so on hover, this should only go for the not selected. And you could also, yeah, that should work. Oh, it's not working at all. I don't know, maybe that not thing doesn't work with, you know, whatever this is. Emotion. I also don't like the spacing on the right. It looks like it needs more spacing on the right just because of that dot. A little bit more. Just pixel pushing. It's a little too much. As if this menu will stick around. All right. I'm happy. I'm happy with it. Colors look decent. For some reason, this is still hovering, even though hover if not selected. That pseudo class does not work. I don't know. I give up. It's just not important enough to spend time on. All right. Oh, that's interesting. You can click on this and still kind of drag. I think it's fine. We could prevent or like stop event or whatever it is to prevent that in the future. All right. So when you click, we need to change that selected layer. For this, we're going to want context. So I wonder how Zustand does context. I like Zustand, but when you just use bear store, it's gonna give you a global context. I got friends texting me saying they're visiting SF. Very cool. Very cool. Very exciting. If my house is full of trash, but definitely want people to come over, live among the trash. How do you create Zustand where if you have two components with the same thing, they're not going to share that state? They're definitely going to have a section on it. Store context provider. This, I feel like they should say more here. This should prevent the problem because each component will have its own store context. But let's see what they say. See if anybody online is saying things about this. Multiple Zustands. How can I make it so multiple Zustand stores do not share state? I'm using React. Use a scoped store. I didn't know you could do that. Use a namespace. These are all bad solutions for this particular instance. I'm making a React library. Can I use React context instead? You could like generate and store. You could generate the first time a component renders a namespace, and then that would work. Maybe not the best answer. Let's try this against OpenAI. Unique identifiers for each store. Okay. What was the second thing I said to Meta to help clarify? I'm gonna combine these because it's so slow. I'm using React. I'm making a React library. React library that might have multiple independent components placed on the page. I think that official README thing should be the way. Scope stores. Create dynamic store. Yeah, this is what, if I took what the AI said, this is what I would implement, I think. So they use a global store. Okay. I don't know. These are all, I think, bad solutions. So that's a little disappointing. It sounded very correct. He was very confident. Who this? Yo, what up, A Gundy? How's it going? just doing some coding. You know, just building B2B apps. The most fun thing you can do on a Friday night. Anywho, not much more to say about it. You know, it's like where I'm making like little UI features. You know, what can you do? Response kissy face. I was at the Meta AI office yesterday. Or sorry, not Meta AI. I was at the Meta office yesterday. And it's freaking amazing. It's like there's just giant cubes everywhere. And sometimes they're made of concrete. And sometimes they're made of wood. It's like very difficult to describe. But it looks like a mix of a playground and a construction. Like in like an architect. Like a beautiful construction site. Not like a messy one. So really cool architecture, and there's all this free food and stuff like that. It's amazing. Interviewing or sneaking snacks? Definitely not interviewing, just sneaking snacks. Yeah. Although if you want GPUs, Meta is the place to go right now. Yeah. Getting jealous of the man. Who is the man, Zuck? I am definitely like tempted whenever I go to these offices to like it's like I think I don't know, I'm it's probably, you know, I'm trying to get into the mindset of like how do you make those decisions, or how can you guide people on making those decisions if you're startup-y and you're thinking about going to big companies. And I noticed in myself that all I saw, Facebook sounds pretty chill. I've heard some horror stories from Google lately. Yeah, I don't know about Google. Yeah, I don't think Google's the place to go. I also don't know if they have GPUs. I think they have like their own stuff, right? So they bet on themselves, and I don't know how well that. You know, we may have Googlers in here. So hey, let's cool it on the Google takedowns, okay? They're going through some stuff, all right? Don't beat up Google while it's down. It's had a bad week. Not that bad of a week, all things considered. Dude couldn't get into his office. Some people got fired. It's not like, you know, Google's a country-sized corporation, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. Google can fend for itself. Yeah. But anyway, when I'm at the Meta office and I'm like thinking about the decision, all I see in my mind is like, wow, really cool office. Atmosphere, like structural atmosphere, very cool. Like you have snacks, like you're taken care of. I want to be taken care of, whatever. But that's not what you think about when you're working a job. You think about like, you know, like people and the work itself and all that. Like once you get into it, you get over these amenities. Like even at your house, you can probably structure it such that you have decent amenities. Probably not like totally comparable where like, you know, you really feel taken care of, because man, they have some really good, like, you know, I'm talking fresh baked, you know, pistachio muffins. I'm like, whoa, these are the best pistachio muffins I've ever had, and they're just sitting there. And I remember getting truffle fries at TripAdvisor and being like, I would never order truffle fries, but they're just here and you can just eat them. So where was I going with this? I don't know. Anyway, it's not like what you think about when you're working a job. When you work a job, you think about like the people and the thing itself. So I think like if you're making career decisions, you should also think about the people and the work itself, and not over fixate on amenities. But yeah, it is a tease. It is a tease. I don't know, man. After a 5-hour grind, getting up to play ping pong with a coworker sounds pretty hard to do at home. Designing Google GPUs with TS circuits. I hope. Designing GPUs is a little bit intense. Maybe designing a motherboard. I think you could probably do a motherboard, but I don't know, ASICs. Look, man, this is barely structured together. I was talking all this morning with the JLC PCB, which is the people manufacturing the first TS circuit, and they're like very confused. They're like, whoa, what is going on? Because one of the compromises I made to ship as fast as possible is I put like 0 like indicators. Like normally when you look at a PCB, it has silkscreen, which is like all these white indicators that tell you like the polarity of different components and where to place them. It's like little squares that you place it in, and I did none of that. I was like, oh, they could probably figure it out, and they were very confused. They were like, will I worked with that. We probably sent like 3 or 4 emails back and forth, just confirming things, and then they were like, all right, also your pads are kind of sized weird, so we'll build this for you, but we're not going to give you any guarantees, like no complaints. And I was like, yeah, no, that's fine. Like it'll be a win if it just gets done. And the pads and stuff like that, I can always adjust. So TS VLSI, yep. TypeScript VLSI is VLSI. That's the yeah, it's this guy. I think that would in some ways be or what's the there's Verilog in that other one. I don't know, man. I never go that low. I don't know what's going on there. But it does seem like there's probably a moneymaker there. Somewhere. You're my EE, I guess. I want to convert. Hopefully, I can convert a lot of developers to web developers to electronics if the static analysis is good enough. But until then, yeah, I think I'm the EE. Yeah. GPUs, that's intense. There's a guy who left NVIDIA and he tweeted like, you know, it's going to take people 10 years to catch up. It's fun installing an NVIDIA GPU because it's like this massive, it's like a mini computer you put in your machine. I was just admiring it. It's been like 10 years since I bought a GPU, but it's cool. It's like this big thing. It's got all these fans. You're like, wow, this is a friggin' unit. All right, let's see. So how do I do this thing? React context, create context, use context, context store provider, create context, create store, use store, value equals store, store context. Okay, I think I understand. Use store, store selector, store, use. Wait, this, is this still gonna put me, this is still gonna put me into a, this is, yeah, no, this is still gonna put me into a global situation. Let's check out recoil. I'd prefer to use Zustand and figure out how to get it to work, but I do think that recoil might, maybe can even interoperate with Zustand. Recoil root, yeah, so recoil root will set up for that component a fresh store. I could probably recreate recoil a little bit. I don't think it's that complicated. Basically, it's just a little weird. Value equals store. I think I can probably get it to work. It's just gonna be a little bit hacky. But if I use vanilla Zustand, use context, store context, the store is the create store. So you just pull it in, and then whenever you call use store, you use that store. I think this is gonna, yeah, okay. I think this works. Just on, instead of declaring it globally, this context, you want to define it on mount. So you're gonna create a dynamic store context. It feels so complicated, but this is like, like every library has to do something like this. I guess maybe they just don't use context patterns in libraries. I don't know. think I can use memo to do a mount store creation. This create store function will eventually come from somewhere else, but for now we'll just hack it. So we'll say store context equals use memo create context. I don't know the parameters for create context. We'll skip it for now. It's like that. Value equals. I think we don't need to recreate the store. I think the store context we can create once. The store is what we need to memoize. These all have very similar meanings. All right. I'll figure that out in a second. Create context, expected one parameter. I think create context is kind of annoying because it wants to get like a default always, and I have no idea why. I don't know why they do that. Okay. I think that's fine. Store, children. Okay, done. So it's not a component. I'll say global store TS, and then we'll basically override these Zustand methods. And I'm just gonna make these a little bit more specific. Create Zustand store as use Zustand store. Okay, how does create store work? Create store, you give it a set function. Zustand is a little bit of effort to get started. And then when you're going, it's a-okay. There we go, perfect. Set. We'll take it. Selected layer is the thing we're storing. I always use underscores for data structures. Yeah. I'm gonna stick to that convention, as controversial as it may be. And we can make this a pretty specific type, layer reference. Oh, Zustand needs the initial version. Oh yeah, this is always a little bit weird. So Zustand, like, yeah, okay. Selected layer, we'll say top as layer ref. Yeah, there we go. And that should give it the right type. Underscores are nicer than camel case. I agree. I think it's too late for JavaScript. But yeah, it's pretty messy. So I have two ESLint configs, one for like React projects, or one where you should use camel case everywhere. And then my other config is camel case for like functions, and then Pascal case for classes or whatever, but then underscores for everything else, which, like, it's a little mixed up, or it feels a little mixed up at first, but after a while I feel like it's a really, really nice convention. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those ESLint things set up, because that's like, that's the fun stuff. Linting configs. The only DX I care about is the DX of some guy who's never made a circuit trying to build a competitive NVIDIA GPU with TS circuit. It's the only DX that matters to me. With Zustain, you also create setters. So we'll say select layer does that. That's perfect. What languages are you in nowadays, Agundi? If I may ask. By the way, don't feel, you know, I always say this, but even if I'm conversing, you know, I realize it's B2B. It's B2B, you know. I you know, people sometimes hop in, hop out, so it's no big deal. It's okay to leave me hanging. I'll be fine. I assume people are always doing something while I'm streaming, like they're like working on some project, and I'm just kind of speaking and distracting them, if anything. Elixir, okay, I like Elixir. I've written nothing in Elixir. I like it conceptually. I think Elixir has this thing. Elixir has like a React like thing, right? Hold on, Elixir punning. It has punning, right? I don't know if it has punning. I have no idea what I'm doing. It's too difficult, too difficult. I'm just thinking of all the mistakes that React made and if they've been corrected. Running tests. Yes. That's like a good tagline or something. Your best entertainment while running tests or something like that. Yeah, punning is a big feature that React missed out on, and I'm forever upset about it. It's like a class name. You know how they used class name instead of class because they were like, we don't want to be too disruptive. And it's kind of unfortunate because like it's like React is kind of more important than classes at this point. IMO. So yeah, punning is where you don't have to specify if you I'll show you React punning. Yeah, Reason did do punning because they were trying to correct the mistakes of React, but then they also disabled some really nice behavior. Where is punning? There it is. So in punning, is loading becomes in the parent context, whatever the value of is loading is, it doesn't become true. So the reason they didn't do punning is because they wanted to maintain like a little bit of HTML compatibility. So text, you know, if you have const text or something like that in here, if you imported text or got text as a prop, this would set text equal to text. So this is equivalent to text equals curly brace text. If that makes sense. Like, so instead of doing this, or yeah, instead of doing is loading equals is loading, text equals text, on click equals on click. So super annoying, right? So with punning, that all goes away. I think this was a huge misstep that totally we totally could have done this. I'm very tempted. If it was a TS config feature, I would immediately enable it, and then I would force it on every TS circuit project. Speaking of doing things wrong and in outdated ways, every time I compile any TypeScript project, I feel like I'm doing things wrong because I usually struggle with ESM for a little while, and then I kind of give up and go back to CommonJS. So I feel like I'm like holding things back. If anything I ever did got popular, they'd be like, what the heck? This guy, he's supporting all these CommonJS people. It's messed up. I'm gonna not care about the type of value here because I'm not gonna use it. I'm going to do something fancy with the type and kind of just skip the provider. So we have create store. The use store is going to have a different signature than normal. So this is what it would normally be, but we have to import that context, or at least that's what Zustan said we had to do. This is one of those things where like like the only reason I'm doing it this way is because I like think that there's going to be more features in the future and stuff, but I would have just like gotten this done with a prop and use state, you know, back in the day. I've been spoiled. I just want everything to use the same stuff. So I'm using Zustand. I'm not going to do prop drilling. Use context store selector. Is this? Yeah, this is the red section. So first we get the store. This comes from React. Store context. From context providers. Okay, store context from, this is a little bit of a cyclic import, but I think it'll be okay. Maybe. Okay. And then all right, so this is a little annoying. So we're going to pass store, and then we have to pass through selector. The selector type is actually very important to get right because it'll make sure that everything else is typed. So I'm going to try to do this correctly, which is going to require some type foo. Let's see. I think Zustan probably would export like a use store type or something like that. Store API. Use bound store. Maybe. I can also go inside and inspect it a little bit. So this is the type they gave for use store. Extract state S. S extends with React, store API unknown. Okay. Extract state S. Extract state takes S and then finds that internal state object. Okay. This isn't that hard of a type to write. That extract state function is pretty useful. I've never used that before, but let's use it. So I don't know what to call it. Inner state equals extract state. Oh, did they not export it? They're not going to give me the good stuff. Disappointing. We can recreate it, I guess. Type of create store. Let's start here. Store API unknown. I feel like this should have a better type than that. I don't know. Maybe I have to return as const here. Why is that unknown? Disappointing. All right. Let's just define it manually. So we'll say, we'll just call it state. It's a bit annoying to have two definitions, but it's not that big of a deal. And sometimes type definitions are a little bit easier to read, so So now we don't need any of these. Select layer. Maybe we do. Layer implicitly as any type. What if I don't think it should if I provide it here, maybe? Create Zustand store state. Zustand is a great library name. Although the age of, I don't know, the age of not super meaningful names is kind of going away. You have like photo AI now. All the AI names are super explicit. Applicants AI. You have some, like you have like elements AI, like nobody knows what that does. It's probably some foundation thing. Okay, so now that, so now we can try to define the state. So selector is a function that takes the state as its first parameter. This is just like what Zustand does. And I'm just skipping. And it returns, I guess, some type T, which then this hook returns. I think that's right. And we're going to give it the default value of state. So it's going to complain about these two types because I completely just kind of bastardized how Zustand does this. Can I find name selector? I called it S. Right now, I'm just building out the global context for the PCB viewer. So this is a subcomponent of TS Circuit. So how TS Circuit works is like, so this is a TS Circuit project. So you can do TSCI init to initialize the project, but you can do TSCI dev to develop. And from there, you're developing circuits like it's a web project. Oh, I hit open in browser, but it opened in not a new window. So then you have your circuit. So I was working on this one on Monday, but yeah, it renders out your circuit. So you can switch between the PCB and the schematic. You can go to different files, stuff like that, and then you can export to Gerbers. So one of the things I found while developing, so basically what I'm going to do probably every week is attempt to create some circuit end to end. And then if it's really painful, I'll go and I'll fix things. And I'll also try to fix anything that comes up. Like this, for some reason, this component isn't being drawn properly, but the code is correct. So there's some bug in how the code works there. What I found with the PCB viewer is it was really annoying to use for a bunch of reasons. So thank you, VAT. Appreciate it. But what I found while developing this is like, you know, the blue layer gets covered up. So we're building a layer switcher right now. That was a really long way to say that, but we're building a layer switcher. And then I have a list of other things that were annoying. I also wanted to get the dimensions and positioning a lot. So this is built yesterday, but you can like hit D. You're supposed to be able to hit D. It's broken in the storybook. And you can get like this kind of like thing that lets you see the dimensions and positions of things. So just doing quality of life stuff, because building out circuits, spend a lot of time in this. I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be building out a circuit probably every week, a complicated circuit leading up to the Arduino. And then after I do the Arduino, I'm going to switch to building an AI that generates circuits. And so that'll be my main focus, because not only do I have to build the full stack of EDA software, which is a lot, I also have to compete with the existing libraries. And so the only way I'll become a competitive solution is to use AI to generate components from data sheets, but also to assist people in the development of it. So hopefully you can say, oh, I want an Arduino shield with a Wi-Fi module, and it can produce something at least enough to get you started or something like that. But along the way, I'll have to build a ton of static analysis and stuff like that. Was I an EE? No, I was a computer engineer. I took EE classes for sure. So I've done breadboarding and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was a bit of a EE. I think I took a decent amount of EE classes, I would say. I also built hardware professionally. But that was a while ago. I also built hardware at Seam and stuff like that. You can EE better than most. I don't know about that. I have no idea how my fellow how EE I don't know what anybody else does. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but like I don't know what other people in the world are doing a lot of the time. I feel like I'm hearing an EE. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But they know how to like analyze analog circuits and stuff like that. My dad talks like this with that same kind of intonation as a person passionate about creating PCBs. All right, I got to take a short break as some people just walked in, so I'm gonna shut my things. BRB. All right, unfortunately, I did get crashed this Friday. It seems people are here. I might do something a little bit later in a couple hours, but I am getting crashed, so I can't. Unfortunately, I will not be able to work on this incredible menu selection. All the global store. This is gonna be hard to remember how this whatever thought process I was going through when I did this. All right. Whip. It's a feature branch, so commit names don't matter. Look at that thing. It's beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Anyway, sorry, short stream, but maybe I'll be online later. Cheers. Thanks, everybody. I leave brain dumps over as Giga comments. Do it, you can teleport right back and see the order. Yeah, that's true. Yes, perfect. Why did somebody say rated? Did I actually get rated? That's very embarrassing if I got rated and am now turning it off, but you know, that's how it happens. Sorry, everybody. Have a good